Let me tell you, I know this course. I've walked it. I've played it. I've caddied it. And we talked last week about the French National being a bit of a hard course to go if the wind blows. This course, if the wind blows with the amount of water all over the shop, this is a tough track. Now, let me contradict. If it's benign, there's birdies and there's eagles everywhere you look.
Yeah, definitely, Flash. Last year, Oliver Fisham had got round in 59, didn't he? And they have made sounds from the club that they've tricked it up a bit this year. So it will be interesting to see. Plus, it's a bit later in the year this year. It's about 4 or 5 weeks later, so it's going to be a bit cooler. The ball probably won't travel as far. It will be interesting. I mean, normally this is a really good event to bet at, and but it's moved back this year, so we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of them courses where you've got people who really enjoy this type of swing. I mean, I know that the Algarve Pro Tour is just about to kick off at this time of year as well. So it's for those Portuguese and Spanish and Southern European players to try and gain some entries in like the Madeira Open, the Portuguese. You see quite a few Portuguese players here. A couple of them actually played with my son, and I walked around and watched them play when they were on the Algarve Pro Tour. So I'm cheering them on. I really am cheering on. The Algarve's a fabulous place to play golf. Millions of golf courses right along the coast. But if the wind blows, we are in trouble. Now, we're going to start off. Rafa, what do you want me to do here? Because we're having a few technical difficulties. Can you still do the graphics? You can? That's excellent. Let's start with 20 at 5.5, which is obviously 9-2.
Yeah, there's an interesting dynamic around Justin Walters this week. His best performance on the European Tour is a few years ago. He was second here. And he came here needing to retain his privileges. He'd had a poor season. Well, his mum had passed away during the season. And he came here and he grabbed second place with a massive long putt on the last when David Lynn won. He's also got some other pieces of form here that suggest he really likes it. He does like low-scoring courses. We saw him at St Andrews shoot 63 in the Dunhill Links. Now, he was coming back to the golf at St Andrews after his father had passed away, so he's sadly got a similar dynamic this year. And again, he's on the cut line at 1-2-1 for the race to Dubai. So 10th in the Italian Open 2 weeks ago suggests he's playing well again. And it's one of them things when someone passes away close to you, it can have two effects. It can either, usually with sportsmen, they probably stop practicing. And in general, the fear of losing tends to leave you for a bit. And instead of worrying about the result, you just go out there and play. And, you know, over different sports at different times over the years, players have produced their best results. In snooker, Dennis Taylor improved by about 3 blacks when this happened. And, I mean, it's just a strange circumstance that I think you just stop fearing. You've got no fear of losing anymore, and you just play the game for what it's worth. So
that's the word, Craig. That is the word. The fear. Yeah. The fear leaves you because the majority of them, some of them have the fear of actually succeeding, and that obviously holds themselves back. But in professional sport, as soon as you have no fear, you can free roll. You can play. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen in his life? It's just happened. So let's just go out and let's play. And it's probably the only place that he's probably able to put them thoughts to the back of his mind and just do the thing that he's done all his life. Well, we'll stay with Justin Walters because you got him for top of the rest of the world each way at 21.
Yeah, I chose this market, a little bit of an easy one, because he's never won on the European Tour. He's only ever won on the South African Tour once. So I'm thinking a top 5 finish for him, and he will probably win this market. It's possible he could win this market with a top 10 finish as well. So just a small each way bet on top rest of the world, a good bet on the top 20. And I mean, if you're really feeling lucky, just have a very small each way bet at 125 as well. You know, strange things happen in sport. We saw it last week with Nicholas Colsaert, 7 years without winning. And, you know, sometimes there's a greater being, a sixth sense, if you like. And, you know, golf and snooker is so solitary, played in the mind that, you know, hopefully he'll be free rolling this week. Like you say, what's the worst that can happen? He can just bomb out.
Okay, here's another one I like. Stephen Gallagher, top 40 at 2.25. Steady Eddie.
Yeah, Steady Eddie. I mean, and he can win as well, to be fair to him. I mean, I'm putting him up in top 40, but he actually knows how to win if he gets in the van. But he's got a lot of impressive form here. The last 2 weeks he's played solidly without getting right to the top of the leaderboard. There's just every reason to bet him in the top 40. If you want to, you can bet him in the top 20. I think Betfred have him at 4-1. They pay full on ties and things like that. So that's a good bet. But the top 40 options available with Boyle Sports, Paddy Power and Betfair. And he looks a real good banker this week.
Okay, now we're all going to a couple of the local players. Pedro Figueiredo, top 40 at 5, which is obviously 4-1.
Yeah, again, if you wanted to go top 20, you could, but I would prefer top 40 for this particular player. Like you said, Flash, the Portuguese, they have a category where they invite certain ones of their players, and they'll be the ones that's been performing well on the Algarve Tour. And before he was this is his first year on the main tour, and he's been on the Challenge Tour on and off. And the one thing you notice, he's got 3 top 30 or top 40 finishes here when he wasn't on the main tour. Now, spin the clock back 2 months in his statistics, he had a run of about 3 top 30 finishes. And his statistics suggested that he should have been finishing in the top 10. So I'm hoping back on his own course. He disqualified after the first round in Paris last week, so he missed the bad weather. You know, I really think that with his local knowledge, as long as he gets off to a start, have a good bet top 40, maybe even have a smaller bet top 20 at 12-1 if you want.
Okay, and here's another one that's probably gone through exactly the same route. Ricardo Gouveia at top 20 at 6, which is 5-1.
Yeah, you barely would think of this guy anywhere else. He's been on and off the tour for years. But the last 2 seasons, he's gone here. He's made a top 10 finish out of nowhere. And, you know, again, it's got local knowledge, going back home, sleeping in his own bed. And he did make the cut in France last week, which is something more than he has been doing. And, yeah, there's every reason to think that at least one of the 2 Portuguese players will place this week.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Ricardo, I always, not quite as rude as being like a flat track bully, but when he plays on the Algarve, one of the Algarve Pro Tours, or he plays on the Challenge, he's a bigger fish. As soon as he goes into the bigger events, it's almost as if they don't realise that par is now your friend. Now, on this course, in this environment, it's to make the cut. And obviously the crowds will pick up. And if we have a Portuguese player going deep into this tournament, then it's going to be great. Now, another player, and this player is so underrated, and I think we'll hear a lot more about him over the next few years. Bernd Riffhammer, each way, top continental European at 75-1.
Yeah, 4 places. It's kind of a select market. Now, there's 2 types of players that tend to flourish here. There's the long hitters, because in general, the fairways are on the generous side, but it will rely on the conditions being benign. But he is a long hitter, and there is a little bit of a correlation with the results here and in the Porsche European Open, where he was second the other week to Paul Casey. And he was in the top 10 at Valderrama a few months ago. He's got 2 top 10s his last 10 starts. He's also had a 9th place finish here in 2015 when he wasn't a full member on the tour. So it's a long shot. and he often bombs out. And I have probably lost a few bob on this guy, but I'm going to throw a little bit more on him at 75 to 1 in this market.
You've got to. You've got to do that. But I mean, we do this, and the thing is about golf, there's probably no other sport that you must stick to your guns and have longevity. I mean, look at Kevin Na. 4 weeks ago, we said this bloke's whole mental attitude's changed. He will win again. He feels as if he should be winning. And he didn't do very well. I mean, I think he was like 25th in that week. 2 weeks later, you kept the faith, 80 to 1. So for me, that's like another 15 tournaments full of units because you kept the faith. Because how will you feel coming down the stretch on Sunday if he is in the van?
That's it. And that, you know, the sort of players, I mean, in general, these players for the places aren't the sort of players that can stand up to the scrutiny. But I think this lad is capable of a big top 5 finish, and that will be enough to win this market, I hope.
Yeah, especially with the inspiration of the players that have been winning, like your Wiesberger, like your Colsarts. There's a massive trend at the moment for them Northern Europeans. For me, I think that him, top continental European at 76, that's massive. Let's go on to outrights. Tom Lewis, each way, 26, 25 to 1. And this boy is starting to think he belongs.
Yeah, well, this lad shut down at least 2 of my betting accounts last year. And he came here, he just turned a corner in his whole career. He won here as a rookie, and he's gone for years on and off the main tour. And people know he's got the talent. And then last year, about 4 weeks before, he suddenly started. His old stats and his results were sublime on the Challenge Tour. And he came here, and I mean, I tipped him at 66 to 1 first show, and I had probably my biggest bet of the year on him as well. And luckily, he outstayed Lucas Herbert down the stretch. Half the price this year, but the field is not as strong. So, and he's a more complete player. He's just won the Corn Ferry finals over in America to get his PGA card. I think the case with Tom Lewis is simple. If he gets in contention, we can be confident he'll win this week. But he may not get in contention because you've got to go low. I mean, if the weather's just anything like normal, you need to get to 20 under par to have a chance of winning this tournament.
100%. 100%. Okay, well, here's a boy who don't mind going low. Mikko Kohonen, each way, again at 26, 25 to 1.
Yeah, I've had him earmarked for this since last year. I did actually back him as well last year here. And he played very well, and he just fell away in the final round when he was pretty much going toe-to-toe with Lewis. He's got impressive form here. He's twice a winner on the European Tour, at the Shot Clock Masters, and this year at the Volvo China Open. The thing what I like about him is that he knows how to win like Lewis. I'm not one for these so many short prices, but I've got to say this week, I think these two stand out in good form and know how to win.
Okay, and Joachim B. Hansen, each way 29, which is 28 to 1.
Yeah, now he's got pretty much the similar profile to Tom Lewis 12 months ago. His first full season on tour, though, this is. But he has been playing on the Challenge Tour. He won 3 times on it last year. And in his last 3 starts, he should have won. He could have won the French Open last week. He had a 9 in round 3. And he was still in front. He found himself in front on the last day and double bogeyed the 17th. So he's got a disappointment to get over, but I like him. And the thing what was eye-catching about him is when he didn't have full status on the main tour, he got a couple of starts here and played really well. So you've got to think he's in better putting form now. His whole game is better. And as long as he's got no hangover from last week, he can certainly get to 20 under par.
Yeah. Chris Paisley each way at 41.
Yeah, interesting dynamic with Chris as well. Similar to Justin Walters when he came here a few years ago, he was struggling to keep his card, and he played well here. And he's never really looked back. He's won an event on the European Tour since and become quite well established. And he has fallen away middle part of this season. I just noticed he played well last week, and I'm thinking, are we liking it here? Again, he's the sort of player that plays well at easy courses. So, yeah, I like him at 41, definitely this week, Flash.
Now, here's a player you'd like to have had your money on just for a 36-hole tournament, normally the first two rounds. Lorenzo Gagli each way, 226, 225 to 1. How often do you want the competition to end on the Friday night just before the cut?
Yeah, that's it. You do often. I mean, and if you're lucky, occasionally in golf, you will get the last round cancelled. It has happened to me a couple of times over the years. So I like this guy. I've been following him quite a while. Scottish Open, he plays superbly, and there's some Scottish Open form that ties in with here. And I was hoping Weisberger played this week, but he isn't, because he's obviously going to the higher tournaments now. And he always plays well in it. And the thing is, this is a guy, again, who's played well when he's not had a status on the tour card here. And going back up just over a month, he was second at Kranzer with Rory McIlroy in a playoff to Sebastian Soderberg, I think. Now, Soderberg, I was hoping and praying he would play here because I thought he'd fit here. He's had a top 10 and he's chose not to. So this guy's my next best as a long shot. I think the correlation's there, and I just he's had a second place finish, so his status is about safe. And yeah, I think he's worth a little go as our long shot this week. And the Italians are quite a strong force on the European Tour nowadays.
Okay, well, let's rewind the clock 7 days when we had Matthew Southgate at the National, and he withdraws. What was the reason?
I don't know, Flash, to be honest. I mean, it could be. He probably saw the weather forecast if you're lucky. And I can't imagine it's anything too serious. He's here again this week. He's been playing a lot, and he does have some good form here. And going to that thing, what I mentioned, links golfers can play very well here, and he's a links golfer. So,
and that's the reason that I've put him in, because I knew that if you're coming down the stretch on Sunday and the selection that we both wanted last week on a very, if the wind blows here, the Golf National in France and your links golf with your low ball flight, this is a course that he's going to do well. And I couldn't do it to you. I couldn't let you give me all these selections. And the one that we were so happy with last week turns up. How often does it happen? And he goes and wins. So he's on the list, Matthew Southgate, each way on the outrights at 40 to 1.
Yeah, I like it. I do like it. And to be truthful, I looked at him this week, and I'm probably thinking, well, I just don't know if he's got an injury last week or he's just decided, I'll just travel straight to Portugal and take my chance. And I'm like you, it's a funny event, this, because like you said at the start of the show, Flash, if the course plays a little bit difficult and the conditions a little bit harder and the winning score drops down to somewhere between 15 and 20 under, I could imagine him winning. He would be my idea of the winner. When you have to start showing a little bit of craft more in the conditions, then he is definitely the player that you want to be on.
Well, there's a lot of water around the greens. There's a lot of water down the sides, off the tees. There's them shots that you play on links golf because if the wind blows and it becomes firm, then you have to actually bounce the ball in. You maybe have to take it maybe 5 or 6 yards from the green and let it release up. So for me, I like links, and I'm going with Miko as well. I do like my two for you from your list is Miko each way at 25s and Southgate each way at 40s.
Yeah, I mean, I did consider Padraig Harrington, who would fit the same mould as well, and he has played well here in the past. So, it's a funny course. It can depend slightly on the year's weather, whether it's a bit colder and what have you. But I like both Southgate and Cahonan, definitely. And there's a certain type of player in general as well here.
Yeah, well, let's hope we've nailed the winners. And remember, the way that Craig does his business is you can have a player that comes 15th, 20th, 25th, 35th. But if you put them in the right category, then you have your winners. So, and also you've got 4 days worth of value. Craig, you are top man. I look forward to speaking to you again soon. We'll soon be getting into the snooker season. I always think that when we get to November, December, it's time for the British Masters. And it's just an unbelievable time. And I know you'll be finding value there.
Definitely, Flash. Dark Knight's here now, and the UK Championship's not far around the corner, and the Champion of Champions in a couple of weeks. So there's going to be plenty of snooker to talk about in the coming months.
Well, I look forward to it. You keep up the great work, and we'll be going hand in hand in Vilamoura. Spent many day on the golf courses in Vilamoura. Let's hope a little bit of knowledge pays off for us. Good luck, mate.